I'd like to call to order the Quarry Commission meeting for September 13th and have a roll call. Albert?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Here, second. Shands, present.
Mudge present.
Jerry Baruki present.
Dave Bearsner here.
Armando Diaz here.
All right, we got enough to go on and continue. Janelle is, I imagine, quarantining from COVID, where he was apparently near somebody who tested positive. And so he's hunkered down in his bunker. All right, if we could start with a pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All right, do we have anybody signed? Nobody signed up, okay. Let's go to our business items then. We'll look at the minutes from last month, or 2 months ago, actually, in July. Anybody have any changes or concerns about the minutes? Or can we, anybody want to?
Move we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed? None? All right, the minutes are accepted as presented. The Anson Quarry updates from the blasting.
Hello, David Lawner with Vibertech out of Austin, Texas. Nice to see you all. Did everyone got a copy of this little sheet in front of them right now? The review of the 2 months. We're going to go over the data from July and August of 2021. I'm just going to summarize a few things here. We had 12 shots conducted in July, and the highest PPV, which is peak particle velocity, was a 0.170 inches per second at the Warden property line. That was on July 22nd at the Base Pit North A shot. And the highest air over pressure in July was 112 decibels at the Holly Residence seismograph. And that was a July 8th, Base Pit Northeast A. I'm looking at the top of this chart here for those two info. Now, on the bottom left, for August review, we had 10 shots from the quarry in August. The highest PPV in August was a 0.208 inches per second at the Warden Residence seismograph. And that was from a 824 Aggie Pit East shot. And the highest air over pressure in August was 116 decibels at the Holly Residence from an August 4th Base Pit Northeast. If you look at the monitor in front of you, you'll see a map of the quarry where the shots were conducted for the last 2 months, along with the seismographs that are out there in the city. You can see, again, a lot of the same familiar places that have been popping up for the year. You got the Aggie Pit. First of all, you have up in the very top corner where it says July 13th. You've got the lower and upper west walls. And then below is that Aggie Pit. To the east of that is the Pond 4. And then moving down, see if you can see, I don't know if your screens show the cursor, maybe not, but down here in the middle you'll have the Base Pit area. And then just a handful of shots down on the very bottom where it has the south wall. So those are the shots for the 2 months. This is the, there's a laser pointer, thank you. USBM graph of the Z-curve. You can see there the seismographs are all grouped together for the 2 months in good range and good frequency. I think below the Z-curve line. This was the review of the air over pressure from the 2 months. And again, here's the seismographs listed on the bottom so you can see the correlation readings for the date. and everything was below, well below 120, but the line above 130, where it says air pressure recommended, that's the 133 decibels, so that we're trying to stay underneath that. And then Quarry did a great job of doing that. This is the citizens' concern map for August, because we had no concerns come in July. Yay. So there was only 2 concerns total for the 2 months. And I try to coordinate the color of, you see the Shoals residence on August 17th with the yellow pin. And then up there, just northeast of the Holly Red seismograph, you can see the location of the blast that day in the base pit north. And so Mr. Shoals, let's see what his concerns were, that on 8/17, that his comment was that his wife and I both felt the blast at the same time. Being a base pit shot, that was the closest one to him. He was at home at the time and just sent in a citizen impact request or a report to the city. Looking at his specific data, again, there's his house on the west side of 3009, or south side, and the Holly seismograph was the closest one to him for that base pit shot. And if we look at the seismograph reading, and I know it's a little blurry because this is the lettering is, it's a photograph taken of a PDF, and we have to do a PDF because we've already written in the distances there, but the seismograph was 1,820 feet, 1,820 feet away from the blast. But you can see by the USBM chart there and on the bottom lines, a good grouping here. And the reading at that Holly seismograph was a 0.113 inches per second at 19.2 hertz with a decibel of 103. So that's the shot that Mr. Shoals felt, and he just had his concerns, and he asked not to be reached out, but he did send in a request asking for the future roving monitor to be placed at his house, probably as a result of that shot. There was one other concern this month. Mrs. Alona Thomas, she actually called the city and spoke to Ms. Kane. So she did not fill out a citizen blast impact report, but her comments were as relayed to us, that Ms. Thomas phoned Garden Ridge City Hall and spoke with the city administrator, Nancy Kane, about her concerns related to the blasting at the quarry. Ms. Kane explained that Ordinance 34 and that all blasting is within the limits of the ordinance. Ms. Thomas contends that blasting has caused damage to her home. She requested contact, and I reached out to her, but I left a voicemail, and I did not hear back from her. We don't know if her concerns were from that particular day or if just in general, because that was a shot at the lower west 3I wall. And look at the location here. So Alona Thomas is the blue marker there on the west side, and the closest compliance seismograph would be the Midler residence in the middle, and then you can see the blast on the right side of the map, and it was a lower west wall. But the Midler seismograph did not trigger that day, and so without a trigger, and the Midler seismograph was 6,192 feet away from the blast, and so Ms. Thomas is about another 2,000 feet west of that. So she's well over a mile away, but there was no trigger at the Midler, so we don't know if Mrs. Thomas just felt the house shake or on that day, or if it was just in particular, just her ongoing concerns. But we're still trying to reach out to her. She does not want a seismograph on her property, but with the Midlands between her and the quarry, we feel like we have that area pretty well covered. Yes, sir.
I'll add that I spent a half hour on the phone with Ilona yesterday, and then another half hour with her son Sean, who lives,
2
right
doors
next.
down.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And they're both very frustrated. I went through all the explanations that I have used in discussing this with other folks, and I got the idea, or the opinion, that she thought that she was going to have somebody come out to visit from Anson. Does Anson come out, and anybody from the quarry come out, or only you from the?
They can be present.
Yeah.
I don't know, Hanson's not present here tonight, but I know the procedure that Pat has normally taken is when a concern, this volume comes in, he likes to reach out and do an on-site visit. That must be something that he spearheaded. My office hasn't been involved in any scheduling of that.
Okay.
Pat's working on that and getting his schedule right, setting that in. I don't know, he's not here to say it, but he'd give us a call and we'd be present.
she, uh, Shane especially expressed some frustration, but it's not much different from the frustration that all the other folks who are determined that there's an impact from the blasting, making cracks in their walls. And I went through every explanation I could about the difficulty of linking a specific blast to as the only cause of cracks. We talked about the potential of trying to bring any lawsuit that, you know, it had not progressed in the past. I discussed the studies that had been done with measuring the wall movement. I suggested we'd had our own geologist from, I can't remember, was it MIT or wherever it was, that we had hired to try and look at movement of an impact on housing. And at every turn, what it says is there's no way that we can guarantee that your house will not have movement and shaking, and if there's wall cracking, it's hard to prove that it's specifically related to the blast. So they both were extremely frustrated about that. But what Shane said was that he'd like to have, if he could have a schedule of when the blasts are going to be for a month, and he could have someone from Anson come out when that blast goes off to observe or feel the, now I don't know if that's going to change his mind, but it would show that the folks from the quarry give a rat about, you know, the folks and their complaints. But they have, Janelle has discussed with them, and then I went over, you know, just to try and discuss with them. I invited them again to come to this meeting or to the following meeting in 2 months. And Ilona's a widow, you know, and so she's hesitant about coming on her own. And she'd have to schedule with her son for them to come together. But that's just a heads up to where that issue lies with the two of them. And I did mention that they had started their impact report about a year ago, and it was simultaneous with the blasting moving more to the Aggie pit, and us for the first time in years getting impact reports from Bat Cave Road and you know, beyond. I mean, it was just, it's like we opened a whole new vein of transmission that way. So I'm not sure there's anything that can be done, but I encouraged her or Shane to call, can he call Pat's office?
Yep, he can call either Pat or,
So he can call either Pat or myself. Be more than happy to schedule that.
Okay.
In the past, whenever we have reached out to the Thomases, you know, it's our opinion the best way is to get data. And we set a seismograph out, not on her property, on that blank field, and got a bunch of no triggers or even .02s. I believe there might have even been one, right?
So you did,
We've placed
monitoring
a roaming monitor. It was not on her property,
right,
but it was nearby.
It was in
Okay.
Park Lane.
Park Lane,
okay.
right? And you know, that was one of our roaming monitors, I think, in early 2020. When we had it there, I don't know how many months, but it must have been at least 2,
Okay,
and received very, very, very little, if any, readings. So the only way to advance is to actually get a seismograph as close to the foundational wall of either property. And they've made it very clear to me and my staff that they will not allow us on that property. So
Okay.
that's where that's at. We're more than happy to schedule an indoor meeting. It doesn't even have to be at their house, it could be anywhere that's convenient. Just have her reach out to me or Pat, and we'll be sure to schedule that.
All right. Yeah, that would be perhaps, and I have no idea whether on any of these, and this is historically for, all of us have seen this for years, of people coming, being frustrated, being angry, and then throwing up their hands, and saying, nobody cares, and we're doing all, I try to explain, we're doing all that we can, that our hands are, we have a limited deal that, that we can with the city. But reaching out to make an effort on our part, I think we have that, and have that as a record of an attempt to not just ignore that. So I'll give them a call and reiterate that they can schedule a meeting with you guys. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for talking to them. And that's all the data I have for July and August. Any questions?
Okay. All right, thank you. Now, the the monitors, let me see. We moved the monitor last time to Midland, yeah. And I don't think there was another person waiting that had, yeah. Oh, Carl?
Mr. Schultz, yes.
Okay, good. All right. When would that be convenient to move to Carl?
So it specifically said, Mrs. Midla had reached out to us requesting for certain days of data. We have those numbers here. She knows that she can't make it here tonight. We are going to make an appointment with Mrs. Midla, Pat and I, to go over the data with her. They're out of town, and they're not available until the week of the 20th for us to pick up our unit. So whenever they get a hold of us, and we have that meeting next week at some point, we'll be able to pick that up, and if you guys want, we can move it to Schultz, or we can leave it where it is.
Okay, great. All right.
Let me ask a quick question here. We moved Bowers. Bowers doesn't have one anymore, right?
Right, no. It's at the
So where did that one go?
Midla,
To Midland.
and it's in her backyard, which is gated. That's why
Well,
we're out of
I'm
town.
looking at the ones in July. It shows Midland and Bauer both have happened. Were we doing something special?
It might have
Midland
just,
did?
because we had some data still from Bauer, but in the 2
There
month
was an
before the
overlap.
meeting, and then I
There
moved
was-
it.
Okay,
It's a little bit of overlap.
there.
gotcha. Fine, thank you.
So, okay, do we have to vote on the movement of the monitor? Or just approve it? No. Okay, well, let's just say that we discussed the potential movement of the monitor from Midla to Carl Schultz's house, and you say it'll be towards the end of the month.
After the 20th.
Okay.
Yeah.
good. All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay, and then the Quarry Commission discussions at the city council meeting, anything of import there?
They approved the partial exemption blasting permit for Buckley Powder for October 1, 2021 through September 30th, 2022.
Okay,
They also approved the reappointment of Commissioner Diaz for another 2-year term, that term expiring September 30th of '23. And they also granted and approved the additional term for Commissioner Shands and Commissioner Mudge, with those terms expiring September 30th, '23.
great. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
All right. The Anson Quarry Community Outreach. I'm trying to determine what that, is there, no one from Hanson is here, right?
Correct.
So-
And I'm not aware of any community outreach that I've been invited to go to, so I don't know what that is.
Now, this was just something that Mr. Pat had requested, especially since they do the RayCap food drive every year. He just wanted to bring more awareness to the community that Hanson is trying to work together with us.
Okay.
But since they are not here to discuss anything, this is something we can skip.
Okay, do we want to put that on the agenda for them to make a presentation on that, or?
We're going to keep this as an agenda item every month. There may be some months like this month where there's nothing to discuss, and then other months there may be
Okay,
updates,
so this will be an
discussion.
ongoing kind of.
This will be an ongoing
Giving them a
item.
chance to let folks know what their involvement is with community outreach. Okay, cool idea.
Yes.
All right, recommend ordinance, yes. I don't have a legal degree.
Y'all
So-
need to select a chair and vice chair amongst yourselves, amongst the commission. It's that
And
time.
it can no longer be Chair Holly or Vice Chair Baruki, as ordinance 210 states that you can only be chair and vice chair consecutively for 2 years. So,
Okay. So, we're in our second year, are we not?
Yes,
This all blends over year after
I
year.
know. Time,
Especially well during the COVID and, you know. Okay, so that's just the city council reiterating that this is something we need to be aware of, and
The-
that,
this does not have to go to council. It's good to report to them who has been selected as chair and vice chair, but it does not require any council action.
okay? And the one-year term is effective starting in October.
Yes,
And so Janelle, has he been chair for 2 years?
mhm,
And I've been vice chair for 2 years?
yes.
It's gone by so fast. And we are not eligible then to continue in that unless there's a waiver, right?
No,
Cannot be a waiver?
Can Jerry serve as the chair?
yes.
So moved. He knows what he's doing. He's been here, he's done that.
I'll get you for that.
I won't be here.
Yeah, oh gosh. All right.
Is there a second, somebody? Hello?
Oh,
I am.
That's like we
This
will-
is an action item,
yeah, that's right.
so I'm nominating you as chairman of the board commission. Effective October 2021, and there's a second. Quick vote and see if it helps.
All right. All in favor of, so there's a motion that Jerry the Sucker Baruki has been nominated to retain or convert to chairmanship of the Quarry Commission starting in October, and the length would be 2 years or 1 year?
Well, actually, 1 year, and then prior to next October, then we'll need to select again. But you cannot serve as the chair for more than 2 years, two
Okay.
consecutive years.
Got you. All right, thank you. All right. Is there an amendment?
Mr. Redot, seconded.
Okay. All right, all in favor? All opposed? All right. Thank you for the explanation of that.
You still have to do a vice chair.
Okay. Is there a nomination among the members for someone, or is someone would like to volunteer to step into the vice chair role?
Nominate Mr. Gutierrez.
Armando? Diaz?
Yes.
Oh, it's tough to throw a rookie right into that.
I second Mr. Gutierrez.
Oh, God.
Whoever he is.
Okay. Now,
Is this Saturday Night Live?
Wayne has been the chair and a vice chair, right, in the past?
Just the vice.
Just the vice. Oh, okay. And Mike's been the chair? Okay. So, and Albert is continually on the way out?
And I'm on his heels.
Okay. So,
Really,
My-
you're looking at two of them down there. One of them's gotta step forward.
Mondo, would you be willing to, I'll try and be present for, most of the, I don't anticipate unless something happens, negatively. Okay, so we had a wonderful opportunity for Armando to volunteer. Thank you, that's very selfless of you, and
Do we want to go ahead and nominate him then?
yes.
I move that we elect Armando Diaz as vice chair of the Quarry Commission beginning of year 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, moved and second, all in favor? Aye. Aye, all opposed? All right, it
That's
carries.
how quickly David seconded that. Never know, right?
All right. Well, we are just moving right along with, okay. I will say that going to meetings every 2 months, stuff goes by so fast, you only have so many meetings. I actually lose track of how long I've been doing what, so.
That's something new?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. All right. Now, the education and training, reviewing the Quarry terminology and the, okay.
I think that mic is off. Yeah, just. There you go.
All right. At long last, I do have something to show. Again, it's not much. It's what we've been pumping away. And the difficulty is we're trying to get Vibratech, Buckley Powder, and Anson Surftex to agree on the best terminology to use. And again, once all three of us agree to the definitions that we're going to show, then we want this laminated on a card side and order X amount here for the Quarry Commission so these can be distributed to any concerned homeowners that have it. It's basically just a Quarry dictionary. We've got it narrowed down to about 100 terms that we all feel pretty confident in. We're working off the ISEE handbook directly. Trick is, every now and then there's a few updates, right? And then there's some other terms that aren't necessarily relevant anymore. So we're sifting through all of those with the added amount of making sure that the definitions that we put in are relevant here to this site.
Okay.
So what I have here presented today is our progress, that what we have, and I am more than happy to read through a few of these terms, but like I said, this is simply a dictionary. There are several terms that we use daily, especially on the shot, and sometimes we've mentioned them here. Like whenever we say we're decking a hole, you can see that on the middle here. What is a deck? Anyone here aware of that? We've used that before in this room. It's an explosive charge that is separated from other charges in the blast hole by stemming or an air cushion, right? So
Now,
when-
is that where you put in like other rocks and stuff to,
Correct. So
Yeah.
if you picture an entire column,
right,
that's drilled down, if you
Yeah.
have no decks, you fill that whole column with explosives.
right,
If you're trying to limit the amount of impact, you can add in a deck, right? Each deck
Correct.
added is going to reduce the vibration rate.
right.
Okay, so that's, again, a great term to have in here because we've used this before. Decibel units. Every single waveform that we've shown here has decibels. So we have the actual definition of a decibel, which a unit of air over pressure commonly used to measure the air blast. Okay?
Do you have a few that were contentious, that we might understand the nuances of why there is a discussion, or
No.
one person wants something else?
Really, it's the date of the ISE ebook that we're all trying to use. There's a lot of terms that really, to be honest, a lot of them are outdated, or there's something, Hanson, Servtex, and Buckley Powder are always pushing new technology, so there's a lot of new terms that are out there that they're using. So we want to make sure that everything that we're putting in onto this dictionary is stuff that's relative specifically to the site. I would assume, once this gets printed, we'd probably have to do a reprint and send out probably something every year, okay? So that's how accurate we're trying to be with this. So there's a lot of heads saying, well, put that in there and then 2 months we're not going to use it anymore, and whether or not this term is really applicable to this site, right? So that's what we're really kind of squabbling at, which is taking a long time. So there's a lot of heads. Myself, Pat's boss, and of course Buckley Powder need to come to an agreement to get this done. But this is what we're working on, okay? And we do have 100 terms that are pulled out. Again, we are wanting to do an entire graphic page of this as well. There are some simple graphics that we've used here in the past that I think would be very helpful, right? So we're going to slap a few of those bad bears on here. I know it will get approved, but it's right now hanging in limbo.
So is this something that we are going to, it's not in our package, so it's still not in
It's
the draft stage?
very much so. I don't have permission to send this out.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let me ask you just a question about the decking. I was
Sure.
reading it,
Yeah.
and even reading it, I'm not sure, I don't understand the methodology. Decking is, so you drill a hole, and you had explosives separated by stemming or air pressure.
Yeah, it's the separation between the two.
How do you separate it with air pressure? Blow air in it?
They use what's called like an air deck. Is actually
Okay,
something that,
yeah.
and I don't know if you remember.
Outside air being blown in. You haven't found.
It was a few years ago. Boy, I want to say 2018, when we actually had someone from the powder company actually show an air deck. They brought in all of that stuff there. Remember, he pulled a cord and you could see it expand. So yes, so there are those.
So it's not, just look at the definition just for a second,
Yep,
and see what I'm missing here.
explosive charge.
An explosive charge that is separated from other charges in the same blast hole by stemming, which
that's
would
a
be
deck.
debris or whatever stuff,
Yeah.
packing of some kind, or an air cushion.
We're just talking about air void.
But
Sure.
how do you suspend explosives in a void?
Yeah, you have an anchor.
Yeah,
There's
there's
a-
ways, and there's more terminology in there that would describe
That would
that.
explain that?
And this would be great to have. Decking would be a great thing to show actual graphic
Picture.
proof.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That would make all
Yep,
the
that's one of the
difference
key
in the world,
ones
yeah.
that we have on.
Well, I
Right.
just remember, over the last few years, when they have done a really good presentation of their blasting process.
Oh, yes, extremely,
The whole, and you actually had a graphic showing
yeah.
explosive rocks or whatever, and then air pocket and then more explosive. That graphic and that explanation, I actually tried yesterday to explain that. Good luck. Telephone.
Yeah. How far did you get before the eyes started crossing?
I thought I did a marvelous job and it
Good.
was all clear, and I got
Good.
whether it translated that way, and someone's not used to it.
Yeah.
But I will say that some of the explanations and the education we have been provided about the blasting process, I have used in numerous explanations to residents, to try and describe
Right.
the efforts that the drilling or the blasting company is going through to try and lessen impact.
Yep. And that's very much the goal, is to get y'all up to speed so they can come to you as a familiar face. Now, I think what Pat's really been pushing, again, I'm speaking for him, but I know a big thing that he's pushing for is now some actual tangible documentation to go along with it as well. So that's why we have the PowerPoint presentation. This will accompany it, and from there we can take it step by step.
And Jerry, that'll mean at the end, you don't have to say it's magic, and so you'll actually have pictures.
Okay, well,
That's what I have to show for our education progress to date.
Okay, and then the last thing you have to take from materials, and is that the website stuff?
Yes, so,
That's in our packet.
yes, it is the one that's in your packet. We have worked out all the kinks, so it is ready to go. We just need a consensus from the commission to publicize it.
Well, any comments on that? Anybody have a chance to take a look at that in there?
It's been in development a long time.
Yeah.
I think it's time to get it on our website, and they've worked very hard, had to go through some IT steps to make it happen, and it's time to get it out on the website so it's available. So instead of you having to go through the diatribe,
I can call,
you can say, you know, on the web, we have this great tutorial.
right. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and, you know, I was thinking yesterday how I could, but it wasn't official, just have, Mr. Thomas Shane call it up and then go through it with him, you know. That's when we'll start doing education classes, like tutorials for an hour or so. But it is a good effort, and it certainly helps me to go over it and to explain. So, you know, and as you said, it was, the change from the last time was minimal, right? Yes. Okay, so we've had a look at this for several months. All right, so what we need to have is a motion to accept it, or?
No, we actually don't need a motion. We just need a consensus. So as long as the commission all agrees, we will accept that.
That it's ready to put out to the web.
Yep, I will put it on the website tomorrow if you guys agree.
Okay.
Fine.
All right, it's unanimous among the members of the commission that we think it's ready to put on the website, and think it's a good tool for educating our residents.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other education or training questions that we'd like to bring up for future meetings?
Up for now.
Okay, any other? All right. We'll let that go for, and let our Vibertech and Anson folks also hook for the next meeting. And the grapevine article, who's our grapevine person? You need any guidance or any input from us?
If anybody has anything they think I should put in that's new and different, other than, look what Kat has put on the website.
Yeah, and I really think that, yeah, that needs to, I mean, there are some people who, my wife for one,
Religiously reads the grapevine, you know, and goes through it and points stuff out to me, and so I think it's effective to reach some folks, you know. We wish it would reach more effectively, you know, but I think it's a good tool. All right, future agenda items. Anybody hot to have an agenda item here that they want to see us deal with this next time? Let me see, any warnings, you know, or not warnings, of attendance at city council meetings? You know, we have like, what, October, November, December, three more meetings to get in. And just as a reminder, in a year, calendar year, right? Each of us has to attend 2 meetings, city council meetings. So if you have not done it, and it's in our packet.
Yes.
You know, so check on that just to make sure you're not caught short.
When I wasn't, I thought
that was waived, yeah.
suspended or waived during the duration.
It was suspended. However, they encourage, or they have pulled the waiver, or pulled the suspension. But commissioners are encouraged to attend 2 council meetings, one by the end of the year.
Okay, good,
Okay.
that clarifies.
Yeah,
Okay.
just one
All
by
right.
the end of the year.
Good.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other input from any, Vivatech or anybody else? Anybody? Albert?
Have we had anybody volunteer to serve on any of our Quarry Commission?
Not on the Quarry Commission. But we will keep plugging to get some new volunteers.
And again, in the grapevine, I'm sure you can, I don't know, what, you can be a silver-tongued salesperson.
It isn't gonna help, but we'll have something in there.
Okay.
I have a question for Vivatech on the blast reports. Is there any way that you can include the geolocation of the blast? Because there's a geolocation, but it's of the monitor,
Correct.
correct? Is there any way that,
We just keep it to the face. We don't know the shot GPS until the day of the shot. So I don't think that,
because the distance you're reporting is the distance of the blast to the monitor,
correct,
right?
yes. Mhm.
So I was just wondering, it'd be more, because you can, I mean, the distance could be anywhere in the quarry, right?
Well, but only on that specific face. The shot face is included on that report.
Yep, right.
So, I mean, not anywhere. I'll let Pat know before I can give that out. That's a Hanson decision on that, but I'll let him know.
Okay,
I don't see why it would be a problem.
yeah, because it's, I mean, I haven't been on the commission as long as these guys know, so it's hard for me to keep straight the different
The location.
areas,
Yeah.
locations of the quarry, so
Okay,
having that geolocation of the blast would be helpful.
okay, sure.
Thanks.
Okay, and just as a reminder, when Shane asked if he could have do you print any kind of schedule, or is that kept close hold? We're gonna blast on these days, or is it a moving target depending upon weather and other factors?
Buckley Powder does their best with the weather and what they have going on in the pit. They try to keep a schedule, but it is very much subject to change. That, again, is a Pat Peaton decision as to whether or not he wants to let that information out.
Okay, because I have had folks, and we all have, I think, had folks in the past who say, well, especially recently, in the last year and a half, we've had folks who've actually stayed home, who'd been working and not at home. And they said, well, maybe it's because now I've spent more time at home that I'm more sensitive to feeling the blast, And so some folks have asked if there's a schedule and so they can be home, to ascertain the feeling of the blast or not. But that's something you keep, or the quarry keeps to itself, is that right?
It's his decision. He could, if he was sitting here right now, he may say, yeah, why not? Or he might say, no, I don't want to release that. So that's not something I can answer for him.
Right. All right, well, we'll address that at our next meeting.
Okay.
That the publication of future blasting for a month or so, okay? All right, any other?
Well, the only thing I'd say, having watched this now for years, the minute we try to tie their hands by a schedule, even though they say they will not be able to,
Right.
people are going to assume they're going to have that schedule.
That's true.
And it is going to create more problems, I think, in the long run. We tried, for a while, they looked at systems to announce that a blast was going to go off, so somebody would be aware so they weren't surprised. And that ran into all sorts of problems and lots of unintended consequences. I think that would be difficult to do, given all the factors that go into when they're going to set the blast off and how. It could be delayed by 2 hours because a hole didn't get drilled right and had to be redone. It could be because the winds have picked up. It could be because of cloud cover.
Right.
There's so many factors to try to hold them to a schedule and print a schedule that somebody thinks they can follow, I think is not gonna go over well.
Okay.
So I understand why somebody may want that, and perhaps we could figure out a way for, if there's a particular individual, to work with them to try to help them understand when a blast is going off, but to do it citywide, I think is fraught with peril.
Okay.
Just
Any
my
other,
2 cents.
any other thoughts on that?
I somewhat agree with that, because I know when I was out there with Pat in the mine one day, he was kind of making up time for a lot of weather, a lot of rain when they don't shoot. You know,
Okay.
and I think those guys holding to a schedule would be difficult. And the next thing you know is you're not on that schedule, right? People are wondering what's going on, right?
Yep. Okay. Albert?
Well, this is my term at the end of September, I believe. And so, since there's nobody else, I'll be glad to continue serving as a volunteer, more than glad to, if that's necessary. It's up to, I guess, the city or the commissioners. Well, my term ends this month.
We gladly accept your.
Until you find somebody else.
Yes.
But
Can they
city
do that?
council did not. That would have to go back through city council, and city council did not approve that. Or
Oh, I thought they had.
what happened with that, Kat?
Nothing. So your term ends at the end of this month.
Okay.
You have to be off the commission for a year before you can reapply to be on the commission.
Wonderful.
But then, once your year is up, we can go ahead and put you to be interviewed on that future agenda, and then we can go through the process of
Okay.
a commission recommendation to council.
So I can give my farewell speech now?
If you desire to,
Well, I want to
sure.
thank all the commissioners, Armando Gutierrez, no, I'm just kidding. And Nancy, you've been great. Thank you, Kat, and everyone. I enjoy working with the Quarry Group. Hope to be able to help next, in a couple of years.
And
Thank you.
Albert, I.
Oh, do I get my sign, or I'll leave it? And the holder, too? Gee whiz, how about a gold watch?
Albert, we just wanted to thank you for your willingness
It's
to be.
my pleasure.
To be flexible with us over the.
It's my pleasure.
Last year, and, you know, when we thought we had somebody who was
I
gonna show
enjoyed
up
it.
for, interviews and then
Thank you.
didn't, you know, 2 or 3 times in a row, so, you've been really helpful and contributed a
Thank
lot. All right, any other input? All right, if not, does someone want to, move to adjourn?
No, you're doing it.
You need to do the second citizen
Oh.
comment period, please.
There, okay, I just assumed there was no, yeah, but you're right, don't listen. All right, yeah, are there any citizens who would like to make a comment before we adjourn? Okay, none, so we can move to adjournment. We have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Why don't we let
I move that we adjourn.
All right, second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjournment? Aye, and opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 6:44 or 49, I can't.
49.
49, yes. All right, thank you, folks.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, you're gonna have a chance